Hey, I'm here to share with you some of the changes in the Pennsylvania law pertaining to child abuse that will be taking effect partly by the end of this year, partly some that have already begun, and others that will begin in July. So, as far as the end of the year goes, for background clearances or background certifications, the new law states for employees, all individuals 14 years of age or older who apply for a paid position as an employee responsible for the welfare of a child or having direct contact with children will be required to submit the following information to their prospective employer and thereafter, assuming the individual becomes employed. The same certification will be required every 36 months. One, they'll have to provide a Pennsylvania criminal history report from the Pennsylvania State Police, certification from the Pennsylvania Department of Human Resources, and then third, a federal criminal history report from the FBI, which shall include submission of the individual's fingerprints to the Pennsylvania State Police. The first two are $10 each. The last one, the FBI clearance, is $27.50. Effective as of July 1, 2015, all volunteers 18 years of age or older who apply for an unpaid position as a volunteer responsible for the welfare of a child or having direct contact with children will be required to submit the same information as set forth that I just mentioned for employees having direct contact with children, and thereafter, assuming the individual becomes a volunteer, the same certification will be required every 36 months. However, only the Pennsylvania Criminal History Report and the certification from the Department of Public Welfare will be required for a volunteer if the following three conditions apply. 1, the volunteer position is in fact unpaid. 2, the prospective volunteer has been a Pennsylvania resident for a period of no less than 10 years immediately prior to the application of a volunteer position. 3, the prospective volunteer swears or affirms in writing that he or she is not disqualified from service under the provisions of the law. An employer or an individual who intentionally fails to require an applicant for employment or volunteer service to submit the required certification commits a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree. There have been changes made to who are mandated reporters. And so with that, in April of this year, the legislature approved that now volunteers who have direct contact with children or youth are now mandatory reporters. And so with that, if you see abuse happening within your care or shared a story where a child is being abused away from the site, they are to make a report. And this is the way the law states. So effective as of December 31, 2014, the former process of causing a report to be made will no longer be permissible. Rather, the mandated reporter or the volunteer would be required to make the report directly to Childline by calling the Childline number 1-800-932-0313. This does not mean that the volunteer cannot or should not advise their supervisor of the incident that may have been caused or they believe may have caused child abuse has occurred, but it gives them the opportunity to make sure that they are making the proper report and that the supervisor may be able to help them in the process of making the report of giving the correct information to Childline. But yes, they do need to make the phone call as quickly as possible. Now, background certifications are transferable between different programs in the same organization. So once you get your certifications, many people always ask, well, can I use these in other places? The way the law states now is yes, you can. It states any person who has obtained the required certifications may transfer or provide services to other subsidiaries or branch established and supervised by the same organization, or serve in a volunteer capacity for any program, service, or activity, even if outside the former organization, during the length of time the person's certifications are current. So it's good that they can be shared in other areas. When it deals with written notice is required to give to your employer or volunteer, if any employee or volunteer subject to the background certification requirements is arrested for, is convicted of a crime that would constitute grounds for denying their employment or their volunteer service, or is named as a predator in a founded or indicated report, such employee or volunteer must provide written notice within 72 hours to the appropriate administrator of the employer organization for whom he or she is employed or volunteering. An employee or volunteer who knowingly fails to do so commits a misdemeanor in the 3rd degree. If you have questions about this, please contact me through the conference office at 1-800-874-8474, or you can call and talk with Mike Biala. If you do not get all the answers to your questions, you may contact your district superintendent in your specific area. Thanks. Hope you have a great day.